Hi makers, it's Anouk here from Maker's Loft with another great project from our Maker's Box range. In your pack you would have received these items to make your air dry clay pinch pots. A few basic tools, some cutting nylon, a work mat, a couple of paint brushes, air dry clay, acrylic paints, and a clear satin varnish. Roll your work mat out, and if you like you can stick the corners down with some sticky tape. And using your nylon, we're going to cut approximately 1/3 of your lump of clay off like this. And it's best to store the leftover clay back in its bag. Gently form the clay into a ball using the palm of your hand. You want this ball to be as smooth as possible, so remove any creases or cracks that might appear as you're doing this. Once your ball is nice and smooth, roll it in one direction. We're going to create a barrel-like shape. So tap the top and the bottom, like so, and form the center with your thumb. Be sure to stop about 5 millimeters short of the bottom of your clay. And rotate your thumb around a little bit so that the opening is even. Now we're going to start pinching our pinch pot. We're going to start pinching at the very base and pull our clay towards the rim of the pot. And we're going to be using this motion. So try and keep your fingers nice and straight with your thumb as straight as possible on the inside as well. So we're going to be using this part of our fingers to pinch down and move the clay upwards. So thumb inside, we're going to start right on the rim and squeeze, lift and rotate. We're going to do a full circle going around and around until we get back to where we started. Once you get back to where you started, you can go around and just do a gentle little pinch out going back. You may find some fine little cracks appearing from the pressure of pushing the clay, so just make sure to rub those out as you go. We're going to avoid using water because water tends to make the clay body a little bit unstable and floppy if it gets too wet. If you do, for whatever reason, need to add a little bit of water, always make sure that when you dip your finger in, that you just do one gentle little dip and rub that tiny little bit of water around as much as you can. So now we've got the bottom bit of the pot pinched out. We're going to move up about 1 centimeter and we're going to do exactly the same, full rotation. Squeeze, lift, rotate. You can see the walls of the pot getting longer as we're doing this. And And again, just go back and even that out a little bit with some gentle little squeezes. Rub out any cracks. And move up another centimetre and go around and squeeze your pinch pot out. Try not to put too much pressure on the very rim of your pot. We can go back and do that with a different technique. So you can see my pinch pot's starting to get quite floppy now because it's getting thin. So that's fine. It is why I support it in my hand and I don't have it sitting on my work mat yet. So you'll be able to see that I've got some little cracks around the edges there. So I just hold my fingers on each side and just rub those out like so. You might not be getting those because my clay's been sitting around for a little while out of the plastic, so it started drying out a little bit. When you're working on the rim of your pot, it always helps to support it on the opposite side, especially when it's still really wet like this. So at the moment I've got quite a sort of funny shape pot. It's not really the shape I'm after. So I'm going to start working on the shape that I want. And I'm going to belly out this bottom a little bit to make it more rounder. So I'm going to hold it in the palm of my hand and using my index finger, I'm going to just widen out the bottom of the pot by just gliding my finger on the inside. I don't need to use any water for that because my clay is still nice and wet to be able to do that with. So essentially what you're doing is you're stretching your clay out and the palm of your hand is allowing it to become more rounded. So you'll see it's starting to become much more round, and then you can just tap the bottom of your pot out a little bit to create a nice sturdy base. So it's looking much more like the desired shape. So now it's just a matter of working it till you have your finish that you like. And just keep in mind that keeping it quite rough is also very nice because that's the charm of a hand-built piece. And it's up to you how thin or thick you'd like the walls of your pinch pot to be as well. But you can just keep working it, support it on both sides and fine-tune it until you're happy with it. So once you're happy with the shape of your pinch pot, you can sit it to the side, usually even letting it sit just for about an hour will allow you to do some more work on it. In about an hour it'll start to leather harden, which means the walls will become a little bit more sturdy, at which stage You could start creating some texture if you like. So you'll see with this one that I made earlier, the walls are much stronger. I can't squeeze it in as much. And I've just used a fork to create some texture in there. You can also just leave it plain, or you might like to create a character out of it. I will leave the design up to you. There's lots of inspiration out there. So this ideally needs to be left overnight to dry, but I've got one here that I prepared earlier that I'm going to show you how to paint. So I'll put this one to the side. You've got enough clay there to probably make about 2 to 3 pinch pots. So this is my pinch pot that I made yesterday that I'm going to paint. I've got the acrylic paints ready to go and my water to clean my brushes in, my paper towel, and I've got some varnish. So I'm going to start designing my little bowl here. The air dry clay, as you can see, will dry quite a white colour, so you wouldn't really need to paint the background, but you can do if you like. If you are going to paint the background, you'll need to dry it before you apply the next coat on there. I'm going to use the hairdryer to give it a little bit of a dry before I apply the next coats of paint. Once you've finished painting, put all your paints to the side. You don't need to varnish the whole inside because we're going to be pouring the wax in there. In your pack, you would have received these items to make your soy candle. Some soy wax, some wick, some basic tools, the stilts for the wicks, and double-sided sticker dots to hold it to the base, and a cup. You will need a kettle to boil water with, and a measuring jug to put the hot water in. You can also use a ceramic bowl if that suits. To set up your work area, give yourself plenty of space, and this is probably best done in the kitchen. first I'm going to set up the wick inside my pinch pot. To do this, we're going to feed the wick into the metal stilt, and you might need to twist it a little bit to get it through. If it really won't go through, you can always try putting a little bit of sticky tape on the tip. Pull it through all the way, leaving about 5 millimeters, and fray the edge of the wick. Peel the sticker off and stick it over the top like this. We are then going to peel the other side of the double-sided sticker off and center the wick inside our pinch pot. Then we're going to feed the other end of the wick through the hole of our paddle pop stick so that we have a support to hold it upright. Sit that to the side while heating up the wax. If you have some essential oils around the house, you can always add those to this soy wax. So start off with boiling the kettle. Carefully pour your boiled water into your bowl or glass measuring jug. Fill about halfway. Grab your cup and fill your wax about halfway and place it into the boiled water. You may need to hold it with one hand, and it takes a little bit of time to start melting, so just slowly start stirring your wax around. So you can see how much the wax has gone down from half a cup of wax, so obviously we need to melt much more. So I'm actually just going to reboil the kettle and put fresh hot water in the jug. And while that's boiling, I'm going to add some more wax. And I'll just fill it a little bit past halfway this time. And keep repeating this process until you've got the desired quantity of wax melted. And just repeat this process until you're happy with how much you have. You can pour some in, and if you need more, you can go back and melt some more. You can add layers on top of each other, that's fine. starts turning a warm yellow tone, it's almost ready to pour. Just give it a little bit more of a stir, making sure that all the little bits of wax have dissolved. Take it out of the water and put your water jug to the side. You're now ready to pour your wax into your pinch pot. Pour slowly. And try not to move it for probably a couple of hours. Once the wax starts to set, it'll go white. When it's completely set, you can remove the stick and you can cut the wick